fans, and welcome back to the URL Karting Championship. You join us here for round 4 at Blyton Park, where we have a 30-minute qualifying session followed by a 30-minute race. Scoring wise, the qualifying session will be awarded full championship points based purely on fastest lap time, with a bonus point for the fastest driver out there. We then have a reverse grid start for the race. So whoever is fastest out there in quali will have to do it the hard way from the back of the grid. So a quick look at the championship standings as we come into round 4, and it is D Miller who leads the way. Horton and Glover 12 points off the lead. Glover just 2 points in behind. Horton are both absent from this one, so they will surely lose some places here. McLaughlin just a point behind this pair, and he is present. Davison, another one who's keen to catch those boys up, and even if he has an absolute shocker out here, will amass enough points to jump Horton and Glover that are both absent. We then have Cave and Was separated by just 2 points, and then Chef just another 2 points behind them. Blake is then 7 points behind and hoping for a good race. He's been on some good form recently, be hoping to continue that run. We've then got G Miller 11 points behind, and Housley just 3 points behind him as part of that tightening midfield pack. Devine, McDermott, Tracy all absent, but we do see the return of Jackson, who we haven't seen since round 1, in which he won both races, setting the fastest lap in one of the events as well. So he's got 41 points there, but that's just from attending once in the opening 3 rounds. And then Seaman and Schofield down at the bottom, both also absent. So here we go as we wander up towards the carts. I don't jump straight in as we're waiting a seat insert, but here comes Was, hyped up for this one. He's been looking up forward to this one. He's been talking it up in the office, looking forward to a solid quali session. And then even if that doesn't go well, has the reverse grid to be able to look forward to, try and hold some track position. And then here come the marshals, because everybody's got it wrong. I'm stood waiting for a seat insert. Was made to swap carts, gets himself sat down, and he's got it wrong again. What a start to his day. Back up he gets. Cart number 5, son. Obviously a bit tricky. Just got to line up in a line, yeah. And then here comes G Miller climbing in next to us. We jump forward now, and there we go. The tyre barrier moved, and we are away. Quite a cool evening, really. Tyres are quite cold, so nice slow warm up out lap. Make sure that everyone gets a chance to get out onto the circuit before we're back round, so that we're not out there flying past as people are still leaving the pits. So we come down here. This is the infamous hairpin here at the Race Kart Centre. That's ever so tricky. That's where time can really be made up if you get your braking right and you're entering into that corner right. That's really where a lot of your lap time will be won and lost around here. Now, foot's flat to the floor at this point. As we can see, everyone has exited the pits, and it doesn't feel initially that quick. Plenty of curve through there, and here we go as first a lap in anger at this place. This time around into this left-hander, and now we've got the nice long sweeping run all the way down. Pick your braking point, get yourself left, try and swing it in, try and just take some of that curve, that apex. Carry as much momentum as you can, but you can see we're already looking over our shoulder. Foot flat to the floor and clearly under some pressure, so it's not the greatest of starts. A bit more curve this time, and you find that that's eventually everyone gets to the point where they're completely cutting that corner altogether. So now we'll go into a bit of fast forward mode, because we don't see a right lot happen for a little bit. slow down a bit there because there's a black flag out for myself, suggesting I need to come to the pits. There's no one in and around me at this point, so it's definitely aimed at me. So we speed up the footage as we come back round and pull into the pits where the lads are waiting. And they're asking me to swap karts, and explains that there's an issue with the transponder. So the laps that we were setting in that opening phase didn't count, which is a little frustrating. So we swap over into kart number 10. The tyre barrier's away, and we check that we're not going to run into anyone on his way out. Here we go, we let someone through. Quite sure who that was with the yellow helmet there. Could have been Davison maybe, I think he had a yellow helmet on the day. There you go. An interesting start, as at no pace whatsoever. The car simply does not turn left. Through goes McLaughlin. Through goes another yellow helmet. Not sure whose that one was, but we're quickly passed by two karts. As not sure at this point if it's just cool tyres, but we went full lock to the left there, and the kart simply didn't turn. A really wide berth there, let G Miller through. He looks over his shoulder to try and figure out what's happening. I myself have a blue race suit, so do also stick out on the track, so he knows it's me. Trying to understand why I'm slow and that far wide. Just trying to stay out of people's way, I suppose, on an out lap, when I know that I'm having issues getting the kart under wraps. And there you can see the kart fighting all the way through there, trying to shake it, but just really struggled to turn this kart whatsoever. Looking over the shoulder, left, right. It's clearly someone that we're nervous of. Shake of the head. Here you go. As Was comes steaming down the inside. And he has asked repeatedly to make sure that this clip makes it into the video. I think sweeping past me on the way into that hairpin. So we now chase back down after him, coming through into these final couple of turns, and you can see he's pulling away a little bit. It's another shake of the head from me as we turn into this corner, and the kart's just not playing. There's another kart there on us, the left corner. We know someone's there. Stay tight through here, try and defend it a little bit. There's absolutely no chance. Number 12 I think is jacked on. It's Blake, goes flying through. Absolutely no defending that. His kart's so much quicker. G Miller, who's got past us just a lap before, finds himself sat in the barriers there as we come round. And now we try and chase down on this straight. Can we get the tyres up to temperature, or do we have a genuine kart issue? And here, as you see, as we turn in, look, the kart is just sort of fighting back towards the left as we're trying to turn right there. Really not comfortable with it. And this was sort of an issue that plagued me for a little while in this one. Another kart here in the barriers being pushed backwards. Was that possibly McLaughlin, that one? It's allowed us to catch back up to Wass and Blake here. And we've got a better run coming out of that last corner after clearing the yellow flag. No real room for an overtake through there. And then Blake goes for it straight into turn one. Wonderful sweeping manoeuvre. And then coming through these slow corners again, look, there's just really struggling to get the kart to turn in here, kart number 10. Just would not play. Wasp runs a little bit wide through that one. A bit of a shake of the head from me, as it wasn't the cleanest of corners myself, and we could have capitalised there really. Missed an opportunity. And we'll continue to chase. Gap closing as we come over the line into turn one, all over the side of him. Can we sweep it around the outside? We're going to try and stick it out. He's still there, and we've cleared him. And there you go. We got back past him, but I'll let it go down on record that Wass did get us in there. as we came sweeping into this hairpin. Oh, really, really deep and really wide as he tries another move there. It's not quite done yet. Shaking the kart, trying to make sure that we're clear of him this time. But the move seems to be completed. Skip forward a little bit here. So we're looking over the left shoulder and then over the right shoulder, and suddenly on the left, Jackson comes steaming through. Nothing we can do about that. So much quicker through there. We've got a reasonable exit here. But watch his car just absolutely disappear into the distance. We're absolutely nowhere near the pace of the car that he has. Usually really competitive. Jackson's always up there near the front, and there's not usually a right lot to separate myself from himself and the top runners, and I know at this point that Blake had absolutely cleared off. Jackson was clearly much quicker, so we've given up on that kart and come back in, still struggling with the handling. He was just determined to throw me into the wall coming around the fast section. So a little bit of footage here from the sideline, watch a few of the lads come round. Bit of a side of the track footage as the lads fit a new transponder to the kart that we originally started this qualifying session in, as the chef comes flying through. So there we go, back into the original kart, and we are away. Through goes Elliot. Obviously we're at this point just again on and out lap. We're not setting a time here, obviously having just come out of the pit, so we're just doing his best to not hold anyone else up that could be on a flying lap. Make sure everyone gets as good a chance as possible to set a good lap. Try and get some heat to these tyres. So we then skip forward a little bit as we're back on and chasing. Still Elliot up in front of us, I believe. So we'll just do our best to try and hunt him down now we're back in the original kart, and we've got a little bit of traction underneath us to be able to get the kart to turn into those corners. See if we can make some time back up and hopefully set a decent lap time. Over the shoulder, and that was why, because there goes Jackson. So he's still struggling for pace between these two karts that we're being sort of palmed off into to match what the likes of Jackson will undoubtedly be up towards the front at the end of this session. We've got a very similar line through, and now you're just watching. This is the primary shake of the head. As you can see, we've got just as good, if not a better exit on that corner, and you just watch Jackson extend that lead and extend that lead. And this has been an issue each time we visited the Race Kart Centre here at Blyton, unfortunately, is that the karts inevitably do play a big part in who does well here and who doesn't. There's a handful of good karts, and there's a handful of poor karts, and then there's a handful of karts that are somewhere in the middle, and it's pure chance which ones you get. I think the last time we raced here, I got one of the good ones and was absolutely flying. This time, not the same luck of the draw. It's part of the risk of rental karting, but we've got one that's really suffering, and it's costing us lap time against those that we should be competitive with here, which is really frustrating when you're behind the wheel and you can see that that's the issue, that you're you're racing as well as everyone around you, but unfortunately the kart's just not giving it what you ask. And here's a prime example. I think we've probably got one of the middle of the range karts, but this is Chef here with the yellow on the helmet, who was really struggling in this session, really frustrated. And you see how the two in front are just absolutely hurtling away, and Chef pulls to the left here to just give us a chance to squeeze through, because he's another one that's just really, he's got one of the really poor ones, and he's really struggling for lap time, and he's just getting himself lapped time after time, and it can really hurt the experience for some of the lads, and it's a shame, because this is arguably one of the best tracks that we race at, and we're not asking for all the karts to be ultra fast. It'd just be great if the karts were a bit more even, and this is probably the biggest disparity between karts. Here we are onto the back of a little pack of 3 drivers here, which we're chasing down. Closing this gap quite nicely. It's Housley. Someone's clearly had an off there. The marshal's coming back with his yellow flag. And now a look over the shoulder, and another prime example. Look, Housley, another one frustrated with his kart. A wave of the arm as he waves us through, as he's simply got no response to anyone on the straights. Because once again he has to watch those cars disappear into the distance, and we can come through. Very courteous of him, but again another driver that was really frustrated with his evening here at Blyton. Two cars had been battling, squabbling for a little while, and that's allowed us to close the gap up onto them. We then come around here, and that's Wasp that quite courteously moves across to the right to let us through. And then these two are fighting each other. You see G-Mill are running really wide through there. Not sure what's gone off with him. Is it Blake and Jackson still that have been fighting each other just ahead of us? See, still struggling to close the gap up anymore. We get into this lower speed section, take a bit of a tighter line through there, try and close up a little bit. And then we come through here when you can open up the tap a bit. And you see them just edging away. And then into the biggest braking zone. And just too excited. A spin from myself, shaking the kart, trying to get going, fortunately not caught on that barrier. Big shake in the head as Wasp goes through again, and there goes my brother coming through too. And now we've got a bit of a race on, because we've actually got a kart that can be quite competitive with these two. So maybe a bit of a race on as we chase these two down. So we come across the line, tighter line again through there, and the kart ahead, which allows you to open up this next two. Fortunately, this kart just doesn't quite have the pull or the drag to be able to make much of a benefit. A little think about a dive up the inside, but we keep it sensible. Try and follow it through, we get a better run through there. But we've not, again, got quite the pull in this kart to be able to make that count down this straight. So Gmo can hold us off. It's the fastest corner on the circuit, this one, as we come right all over the back of him now, in the slipstream. And then here you go. He's just run wide, and there he goes, off the circuit. Just seemed to get it wrong. Chatting to him afterwards, Wass there moves across. Davison comes flying through the lot of us. Another driver that was really quick out there today. But yeah, G Miller afterwards claiming that it was his brakes that he was having an issue with, and they were intermittent, and he wasn't always getting any brake when he was putting his left foot down. From the footage, it very much looked like he just ran himself a bit wide, and then lost the kart on the entry to the corner, ended up in the barrier, and he's still there with his hand up. He's stalled the kart as part of it, so we do our best to try and wave down the steward and get some attention over to him. So here we go in slow motion. Look, he's just run wide, takes that cone completely out of the game, and it's slippy out there, so getting on the brakes now will only leave you spinning towards that barrier. Sensational scenes. Brilliant bit to catch on the camera. Still waving away, trying to get the steward's attention, as G Miller's still sat there in the barriers. But doesn't seem to be much attention being paid to him. Here you go, there's a marshal walking back now, he's eventually being rescued. Slow back down again here, as we've pulled along to one side to allow McLaughlin through, another driver who was just so much quicker out there today. Absolutely flying. You can see the pace difference there. I'm not off the throttle, I'm flat to the floor. I've just moved left a little bit to allow him through, because I can see how much quicker he is flying up behind me in this qualifying session. So holding him up would have been reasonably futile on my part, and just hurt both those races. Real wide slide there through. We're trying to push as hard as we can to try and close that gap back up an inch wherever we can. I mean, a slight mistake into that corner, but look at the gap that he's pulled across on that straight there. He's absolutely disappeared into the distance, hasn't he? We come round again, and G Miller is sat there once again. This time seems to be almost the other side of the barriers, sat all the way over there. The marshal is walking away and absolutely not seeing him, so we have to stop, try and get his attention, point him in the direction of where the issue is, in the hope that he's going to go and save him. We'll have a fast forwarded lap, find out that actually he's walking back because the race is ending, but they're just going to sort of leave him sat out there. Just to do his own thing, yeah, just have a reflect on everything that's gone off. We pull into the pits here thinking this is where we need to be, but no, they want to line us up down at the bottom of the track. So we tootle on down here. You'll see, there he is in the blue suit, still sat out in the field, complaining again that it's his brakes. We come round, there's Davison and McLaughlin in front of us. Both certainly felt quicker than we did on track today. So here are the results for the qualifying session then for the 10 drivers that were out there, and it was McLaughlin who got past us. Looked really quick, didn't he, on that lap late on, with a 38.2, taking the full 20 points and the bonus point for the fastest lap as well, so 21 points secured there for Dan, ahead of Elliott, who we also saw some footage of as we had a little bit of tried to have an exchange with him, but just couldn't keep up with the pace that his car had today. Just a couple of tenths behind, and then Jackson 0.02 seconds behind Blake, so really close in there, and then less than 2 tenths back to Davison. Cave took P5, just 2 tenths back on him, just into the 39s, and then there's myself, just under 2 tenths behind Cave. Really disappointed sitting in P6, to be honest. Last time we came here, I was the quickest driver. As I say, that time out, I certainly had one of the faster carts, so it's sort of the luck of the draw. But to be P6 out there is really frustrating when you're leading the championship and trying to defend that lead too. It was Gary Miller in behind, so it's my brother just in behind us. Obviously the reverse grid, so he'll start just ahead of us when it comes to that. He was struggling with his brakes, he claimed. He was 1.2 seconds slower, so that's where the biggest gap in terms of the time is on the timesheets out there. And he was just ahead of Wasp by 3 tenths of a second. He was then 7 tenths ahead of Cowsley, as these two at the bottom really suffered with their carts. As Hopkins was then a further 3 tenths down with a 41.8. So 3.6 seconds off the lead of the fastest driver. Shows just how much of an impact the karts can have out here, because these lads that are sat down there in sort of 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th really in this race have really been closing in on that top group. At the other tracks, when you look at the race at Parkwood, they were in amongst these lads, and they've been closing down the times each time we've been to team sport, so the karts have had an impact here, which is a shame, but they will get the chance to start at the front for the race, so with a bit of luck for them, maybe they can make something of that and make track position count for something. It's a long race, 30 minutes, let's see what they can do with it. Then we'll move on to have a look at what that means for the championship standings at this point, taking the quali points in to account. So there's no change at the top, but the gap has come down as McLaughlin moves up into P2. He climbs 2 places. Him and Davison both clear Horton and Glover. So he's just 9 points down on myself now. So it's into single figures, the lead at the top of the championship. Davison then 9 points behind him. Horton then 9 points behind him. So there's still plenty to play for up there. Obviously Horton and Glover both missing, and there's still the race to go yet. So they're certainly not going to gain any ground here. They're going to fall further behind. Cave just 12 points behind those two. So if he gets a reasonable result, as long as he doesn't finish right at the back, has a really strong chance here of jumping those two and getting himself up into P4 in the championship. Was is 5 points behind Cave as he's extended that gap on his big rival a little bit there. And then Blake with that P2 has really done himself a favour. He's jumped up a position, jumping past Chef Hopkins, and just 3 points behind Was now. Chef just a point behind Elliott in there, so can he make track position count for something and hold him off and maybe fight that back? We'll find out. G-Miller has closed in on Chef. When you look at the table before, he has fallen a little bit further behind P9, but that's only because that was where Elliott was sat previously and he's done so well in that race. So that little rivalry there of Chef, Miller and Housley closing up quite nicely really. Housley did just get the better of Chef out there, so he's closed up on him a little bit as well, but he's 6 points behind Miller. Be hoping to do something out there. Devine wasn't there, so he's obviously sat as he was. Jackson has already gained 2 places, jumping Tracy and McDermott with that solid performance in qualifying, taking P3. So Paddy and Alex both drop a position, and the rest of the table remains as it is. So thanks everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Apologies, a little bit late getting up. There's been a lot going off recently. We're actually at the point now where we're racing again tomorrow over in Wakefield for round 5. So I'll do my best to get the race footage up as well from round 4 over at Blyton, and that grid start and the action that brought about before we've had that race if I possibly can. So thanks very much for watching, guys. Take care.